Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 1 of the 25-26 Slater Gordon Premiership, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside Hannah Hindley for Sevenoaks PFC against Newcastle United Foundation. Two teams with very different opening days, both looking to capitalise in this one. Early chance for George Shippey, just wait for it to break momentarily before going through the squads. How are you, Hannah?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. How have you found game week 1? Experience of Premiership football again?
It was a challenge, but since we saw the pictures, we knew game week 1 was going to be a challenge. I mean, we got the top 4 teams.
Yeah, it was always going to be an incredibly tough ask to come away with anything from game 1 as Cole Alexander fires it into the box, met up by Miles Miller to go through the squads. James Mason, Cole Alexander, who has a little bit of contact with Cole Simpson, puts himself in such a fantastic area, Cole Simpson, that it's almost like a necessary evil in the firing line, but prevents Kyle Alexander from lining up and having a clear line on goal.
Yeah, he's a really clever play to release some of the pressure there.
Yeah, so Mason, Alexander, Shippey and Miller. And Newcastle United Foundation have Lee Armstrong, Cole Simpson, Ollie Crawshaw and Kieran Steer. Newcastle had a fantastic day yesterday. 3 games played, 2 games won, 1 game drawn. Over to Kieran Steer, has a line on goal.
2-1.
Would you say Newcastle favourites for this one? Would you think that?
Yeah, I would think so. With Sevenoaks having some 2 inexperienced National Premiership players in Zoe and Josh, I think Newcastle does have that bit more experience.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's great to, firstly, it's great to see George Shippey and Stanley Ball competing in the Premiership. And just to add further context, this is only their 2nd ever National League season. 1 in the Championship, 1 in the Premiership, so a real baptism of fire. But they'll be given times to settle into this squad and this division. But Sevenoaks are going to want to secure some points, because that pack at the bottom is almost as compelling, as competitive as the top. I think there's 5 teams you could say realistically across the 5 weekends could be title contenders, and I think there's 6 or so that you wouldn't, that could go down almost.
Yeah, I think being a team that's at towards the bottom myself, I think from my perspective, I look at it as 2 different leagues.
Yeah.
You got your leagues in 2 sides. You went from at the top league. Then you got your GBG Knights.
Yeah, I think there's Middlesbrough, GBG Knights, Muscles, Middlesbrough, Throssels, as 5 particular ones, and that race is going to be so compelling.
Yes, so it's all about picking your battles and taking your points where you can.
Exactly what I said yesterday when commentating one of your games. The fixtures against the T-sides, the Leeds, the Aspires are very unlikely to yield any success. But when you're playing those games against the comparable outfits, that's where you're going to see the biggest difference.
And the ball just bends up between Colton and Michael and ends up in Middlesbrough. That should be a step forward.
That it should. It's going to be contested by Ollie Crawshaw and Miles Miller. Ollie Crawshaw just with the better in that initial exchange. You can see how brave they're being, committing players forward. A strange swipe that from Ollie Crawshaw. No player there to receive.
I'm really looking forward to the Crawshaw's development this season. I'm trying to fill a big hole by Ethan Fisher.
Massive, an absolute massive hole. Not just that, Sam Smith as well, who's retired after a fantastic career, it must be said. One of the leading scorers in the sport's history, certainly in England. So Ethan Fisher has to, as you fill that void, try and pick up that responsibility. It's exciting to see how Kieran Steer and Sam Mackay come in, Matty Harrison also. Yeah. It's a rebuild for Newcastle United Foundation, and I think they're relishing that opportunity to almost be the underdogs. Yeah. I think across the entirety of the season, they won't maybe have the stamina to go all the way in the title race, but they will give a lot of teams an incredibly tough match.
Yeah, it's nice to see Sam Mackay back in the Newcastle team after a spell with Middlesbrough.
Yeah, very much so. He's missed the last 12-18 months, so just getting up to the pace of National League again, but I don't disagree. It feels right to see him in a Newcastle United shirt. And more impressively, the famous number 9 that we come to associate with players like Alan Shearer in the running game. Miles Miller into Kyle Alexander. Done well to break that initial press.
Gosh, oh gosh, I get the better at that battle.
Crawshaw and Alexander battling away. Good work. It's good work from Crawshaw to win the corner.
He just pulled away just in time.
But in general, it's a big season for Ollie Crawshaw. Knocking on the door of an England senior call-up.
Yeah.
He'll want to show Adam McAvoy, Craig Peaty and others why he deserves one of those prestigious positions in the senior setup.
As he just attempts to effort a goal, it was watched up by Mason and Alexander.
Crawshaw generates the power but doesn't have the accuracy to squeeze through Mason and Miller.
Well left.
So Cole Simpson comes over to take. Ollie Crawshaw the closest option. Kieran Steer at the back post. Goes all the way through to Kieran Steer, who tacks it at the back post with his front bumper. Probably the best opportunity they've had to open the scoring all game. Yeah. But that said, the defensive pair of Sevenoaks had it covered well. Everything stems from that power and accuracy from the dead ball, doesn't it?
Yeah. If that dead ball isn't right the first time, it's very hard to create something.
Is this your scouting mission for your match-up with Newcastle later today?
That was the thinking behind it.
That's very, very clever thinking. If you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, why not?
Also, interested in how Ball and Shippy do.
And that's very nice. Yeah, I'm intrigued. This is the first time I've watched both of these two in the 25-26 campaign. So, yeah, very intrigued. Loved watching the two mentioned in the Championship. How quickly they got up to the pace of National League football and were absolutely central to Muscle Warriors lifting the then Optegra Championship trophy. Contact on the follow-through. Play continues. Few more experienced officials than that of Caroline Goldsborough. Kieran Steer as well, marking his debut in the English National League this weekend, was part of the Scotland squad at the recent EPFA Nations Cup. so fantastic to see the various international players from Ireland, Northern Ireland, Denmark, Scotland coming over to test their ability in what I deem to be the best National League setup in the world.
Possible to wonder. Can we go for Greece? It will be a 7-4.
You'd say Newcastle, the more attacking of the two teams, but
yeah,
good organisation from Sevenoaks.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see Harry Bestwick watching his former team on the side.
Absolutely it is. Harry Bestwick now plying his trade with West Bromwich Albion. A big move for him. But nice to see that he's still keeping an eye on Sevenoaks' performances and results as Ollie Crawshaw just scoops up that danger. I don't think George Shippey has had any real involvements in the 11 minutes we've played. Very isolated, but it's probably to be expected with how much attacking pressure Newcastle have, and I think Miles Miller has been that third defender.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was a bit of miscommunication by Newcastle. As Crawshaw let that roll, but no one was there.
Mason into George Shippey.
Simpson walked it up. Contact. What played on?
Flicked into the centre.
Crawshaw beat Shippey. Initially getting the better of that battle.
Nice pick off from Cole Simpson. Returns the pass. That's a really nice passage of play. The best we've seen in the game. The diagonal splitting ball from Kieran Steer. Orchestrated by Cole Simpson, who had the eventual effort. They're knocking on the door, but again, brilliant defence and organisation from Sevenoaks.
Yeah.
They just struggling to bypass Ollie Crawshaw.
Yeah.
Lee Armstrong, really a spectator in the 13 minutes we've played. Ollie Crawshaw into the box, blocked by James Mason. It ricocheted between him and George Shippey. The switch of play really nice. Taken in reverse by Miles Miller. Engaged by Lee Armstrong. A crucial interception. I don't think Miles Miller even knew he was there. And it's more impressive when you consider how isolated Lee Armstrong's been, but he's maintained concentration as James Mason smashes into the wall on the far side.
Oh, I don't know. I think goalkeeper must help in times like that when you've been isolated. It helps to get a chance just to touch the ball and be needed to get your concentration.
Yeah.
There.
Substitute for Newcastle, Sam Mackay on, Kieran Steer coming off. Some nice contributions from the Scot, who seems to have settled to the level of the Premiership fairly seamlessly.
Crawshaw get bypasses Alexander.
Greenbank leads on Court A, currently 0-0. That is a fascinating fixture between two brilliant sides who have started the Slater Gordon Premiership with some real fantastic results, as Cole Simpson trying to combine with Ollie Crawshaw. Whilst he's not unfamiliar with that central role, it was predominantly Ethan Fisher's in 24-25. Good switch of play. Just would have liked to have seen George Shippey stay in reverse there and readjust his angle. He had time to address his trajectory and the arc of his reversing run, but opted to drive onto it, which limited his options in attack. But James Mason really nice at breaking those lines.
Yeah.
One of his greatest assets, the accuracy, the distribution under pressure. And that's the second time he's been able to distribute out to this left-hand wing as you're viewing it, the right of Sevenoaks. It's just needing those wingers to be ready, anticipate, ensure their chair positioning can capitalise on that string of service. George Shippey breaks away. Sevenoaks are growing into this game.
They are. They've had a bit more pressure in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. George Shippey flicked out, doesn't have the accuracy to benefit the angle of Miles Miller's chair. So Sam Mackay called into action for the first time since his introduction. It's been a great half of football. 4 minutes left. Switched by Mason. The whistle had been blown. So Newcastle come away with a free kick. Simpson to take. Down to Crawshaw's 180, across the box. Nice angling. George Shippey takes it in reverse and just didn't have the cuteness to use the ball to his advantage. So it just nicks up out the way, but the right intent nonetheless.
But that was the right ankle for Mo Miller to get to Shippey.
Absolutely. It's something that he's good at, is using the angle of his chair, the position of his chair, to ensure that potential rebounds favour Sevenoaks rather than Newcastle. Again, it comes down to that anticipation of the wingers, because that's 3 or 4 times now this winger in front of us, so the left-hand side as you're viewing it of Sevenoaks, has been put away in really good positions.
Yeah. I think they need to try and make them count, because they were absorbing a lot of pressure in their defensive third.
I wonder if it's part of their game plan that they expect to absorb that pressure, but then are looking to capitalise on the counter.
Yeah, and that is a good plan. If you can make those counter opportunities count. But it's still 0-0.
Very much so. I think to the point where it's probably the fairest result.
Yeah.
After 18 minutes, Newcastle, beyond one opportunity, haven't really done anything to trouble Kyle Alexander or James Mason. And Sevenoaks, likewise, haven't had a sight on goal, but have had opportunities in the attacking half. Miles Miller just took a really wide arc there. Would like to see him be a little bit more compact so he could have that secondary effort. Minute and a half left. Cole Simpson to take. Sevenoaks will not want to concede this close to the break.
No.
Into the 180 of Cole Simpson, blocked by James Mason. He's going to let that roll out for a corner, or certainly try to. Alexander with the attempt to keep it live.
But I'm good up for a corner. Cole Simpson to take.
Ollie Crawshaw, the closest option. Punches it towards the goal. Good save from James Mason, a potential break on. Switch of play from Mason. 180 from Ollie Crawshaw. Finds Sam Mackay on that right wing. Can't quite capitalise.
No, that just needed a bumper picker.
Again, it's been a brilliant half of football. Mason, nice feint from Kyle Alexander to take Cole Simpson out of the conversation. Again, Ollie Crawshaw so strong in the battle, in the dribble. Sam Mackay can't quite get contact.
that was a whooping battle because maybe there's a bit more too much power on it.
There was too much power on it, but it was an initial lovely touch from Cole Simpson. But just 10-20% too much from Crawshaw. So Newcastle number 11 unable to capitalise. We've played the regulation 20. It's now into any additional time that Caroline Goldsborough has added up. Hasn't been a great deal of stoppages. Only Crawshaw to take. Whistle in the mouth, and that will signal the end of the first 20 minutes. Newcastle, the more attacking of the two teams, but Sevenoaks have had opportunities. Worth noting, Newcastle are yet to concede in the 3.5 games they've played, so Sevenoaks will have to do what West Brom, Villa and GBG Knights have been unable to, and that is to buy it past Lee Armstrong. Thank you to all that are tuning in. Myself and Hannah will be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to the second half of Sevenoaks PFC against Newcastle United Foundation PFC, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside Hannah Hindley for the action. Give me your assessments on the first half, Hannah. Very even.
I was shocked it was quite even, but I think possibly Newcastle had more territory.
Yeah, they definitely had more territory, they definitely had more attacking intent, but nothing that really troubled the defensive pair of Sevenoaks in Kyle Alexander and James Mason. Sevenoaks unchanged from the team that finished the first half, so James Mason, Kyle Alexander, George Shippey and Miles Miller. And for Newcastle United Foundation, they have made one change: Lee Armstrong, Ollie Crawshaw, Cole Simpson and now Aaron Guthrie. Confirmation of that substitute. Ollie Crawshaw now. As far as James Mason just swipes it towards Aaron Guthrie. He put too much power on that ball. Needed to take 10-20% off because Cole Simpson wasn't set. Something we see fairly frequently. Players feeling they need to put 100% power on every ball at any given opportunity, but that isn't the reality of it. There's a real art, there's a real skill in knowing how much power to apply based on a whole host of factors: position, players, positions, and on that occasion they're unable to capitalise.
And the Newcastle ball
to be taken by Ollie Crawshaw. Down into Cole Simpson, that pushes it into George Shippey's path.
I think he tried to do the 1-2, but it was too much power for Ollie Crawshaw. The Sevenoaks kicking around the own box.
Taken by Miles Miller. Matty Harrison yet to feature for Newcastle United Foundation in this game, as is Stanley Ball of Sevenoaks. No doubt they'll be wanting to come on, but it's so finely poised. You can understand the reluctance to switch things up, more so from a Sevenoaks point of view. There's George Shippey trying to bypass Cole Simpson. Really tense battle here. Goes in the favour of Newcastle. Into Cole Simpson.
I think I scored 1-0 again to take it away from
He does it so well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just completely relieves pressure on his defence. Gets in the way there to intercept. George Shippey, good communication to just push Miller out the way. Cole Simpson once again puts his chair in the firing line. It's a real physical battle.
Yeah.
Here, Ollie Crawshaw up to the challenge there. You can see the ricochets it sends through the bodies.
Yeah.
Then Alexander and Crawshaw. Alexander not happy with the referee's decision. Definitely has a point, without question. That should be a Sevenoaks ball. So they won't want to concede here, otherwise we'll have a quite controversial moment. It's cleared initially by James Mason. Aaron Guthrie trying to push it down into that left-hand wing.
I don't think Crawshaw quite got the connection that he would have wanted.
I think Sevenoaks would settle for a point here.
Oh yeah.
And that is inviting that pressure from Newcastle. Newcastle conclude game week 1 against Muscle Warriors. At the conclusion of today's actions, we'll be running a series of awards, now proudly sponsored by Swizzles. So locate the voting forms on the WFA social media pages. Unsung hero, standout player, team and fantasy team of the weekend. Shine a light on who you believe to be the top performers.
That would just be too thoughtful for going up.
It's a brilliant ball over to Aaron Guthrie, and it's millimetres wide of the right post as you view it. That is the best opportunity we've had all game.
And I just couldn't get there for the
No, I think he wasn't anticipating it. I think Aaron Guthrie could potentially be a little bit better, more accurate. And that has forced Sevenoaks into a change. A good cameo for George Shippey. But it is Stanley Ball who comes on. Just watch the chance back. So well worked. The crossfield ball from Ollie Crawshaw after receiving from Cole Simpson was sensational. It's now how Sevenoaks react. How quickly Stanley Ball can get up to the pace of the game.
That was good territory gain there from Sevenoaks.
It's all about just trying to keep it this side of the court all the while it remains there. It's no threat to James Mason's goal. Still nothing to separate Greenbank and Leeds on court A. This is a very good opportunity for Sevenoaks, arguably their best of the game, just due to the placement and it being a dead ball, which I don't recall them having. It's into the box. Miles Miller just not anticipating. Needed to be a metre or two more to the right and then needed to engage it with the 180. He was too compact, he was too central.
But that was by far the best opportunity for Sevenoaks.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, it all comes from that James Mason delivery. Can strike a ball so cleanly, so accurately. And brave now. All 4 players for Sevenoaks in the Newcastle half. Down to Miller. Swiped at it. That's disappointing. I think he either needs to opt for the 180 or try and hold it up.
Yeah.
I think maybe that hesitance to engage in one or the other results in it going out for a goal kick. But a lot of positives to take for Sevenoaks.
Possible to was, yeah. Miller and Alexander just getting a bit too close.
Into Aaron Guthrie. Nice ball from Cole Simpson.
And that is
Substitute signalled. So Matty Harrison coming on to feature for the first time this game. A nice cameo from Aaron Guthrie. He'll be disappointed he wasn't able to capitalise, but the position, the intent, the contact was all brilliant. It's just the accuracy slightly off. But it's nice, no doubt, for Jamie Harrison that irrelevant of what attacking wide winger he has to complement what you would probably say is the core 3 in Ollie Crawshaw, Lee Armstrong and Cole Simpson, the level doesn't dip. Ollie Crawshaw and Cole Simpson just talking to one another in this bottom corner. Cole Simpson probably just out a shot, receives it with his front bumper, just wide. can see the intent, but that black and blue wall comprised of Alexander and Mason was never going to be breached by an effort like that. James Mason, I think he's just wanting 5 metres to be observed by Matty Harrison. A strike at goal from Ollie Crawshaw, wide of the post. Can get such clean contact. There'll be a resulting goal kick. Down to Kyle Alexander. James Mason. Down the line. If, it's a big if, Sevenoaks do come away with a draw here, wouldn't surprise me if they celebrated it like it was a win. Mason needs to be careful of that. That's got an arc on the ball. It was angling towards the Sevenoaks goal, but yeah, it's been such good organisation and nothing beyond that Aaron Guthrie chance. It's really breached them, it's really troubled them, and there has been opportunities for them in attack. Just the anticipation and readiness of their wingers haven't been able to capitalise, but positives to take. Ollie Crawshaw has been the clear standout, orchestrating things in the centre, as he tends to do. Sevenoaks conclude against West Bromwich Albion Throssels, which on paper presents their best opportunity at points. That was really nice from Stanley Ball, just to readjust his advancement to drive onto the ball. Took Ollie Crawshaw out the game. Shows his skill. Very highly regarded. And again, the context of it being only his second ever season competing in the National League, the first weekend in the top flight. Out of danger from James Mason. .33 minutes played. Sevenoaks have 7 minutes to hang on. Crawshaw into Cole Simpson. Reverse 180 into the back wheel of James Mason. Engaged by Kyle Alexander. Has to be careful of that aggressiveness of his chair. Cole Simpson from one side to the other. Ollie Crawshaw constantly communicating with him. Flick towards the captain. Break, but there was contact. So 2-on-1 is the result from Caroline Goldsborough. Did get very condensed in this bottom left-hand corner. So an indirect free kick in a very good opportunity, it must be said. Very good area. Matty Harrison yet to really receive the ball since his introduction to play. I suspect Cole Simpson will act either as the screen or the use of the front bumper. Kind of opted against either of those options, which allowed Sevenoaks to intercept. Not quite sure why he didn't commit, because there was a gap there with Kyle Alexander trying to cover the bigger side of the Sevenoaks goal. Mason into Stanley Ball, just can't connect with that rotated spin shot. Cole Simpson. Crawshaw doesn't get the angle to locate Harrison, but does on Simpson. Relentless pressure, but Mason matching it in his defensive work rate. Crawshaw trying to feint and deceive the defenders, but they knew what was coming. Simpson, Crawshaw, switch of play into Matty Harrison. Probably would have been better to go for goal directly as opposed to looking to locate Cole Simpson, who was behind two Sevenoaks players. As Newcastle make a change, Kieran Steer back on in place of Matty Harrison, who just wasn't able to get involved as much as he would have liked. Kieran Steer was very bright in his first half cameo. And as mentioned, I don't think it's unfair to say that Jamie Harrison will have that core four in Simpson, Crawshaw and Armstrong. It's for those 3 or 4 wide options in Steer, Harrison, Guthrie and Mackay to fight it out for that 4th starting spot. No doubt Harrison's selection will be based on form, style and other factors. It's a nice headache to have. All of them are most definitely Premiership quality. Crawshaw off the back wheel of James Mason. Simpson happy to let that roll out of play. Just 3 minutes left. Jamie Harrison shouting instructions over to his captain Ollie Crawshaw, who receives, just angles it towards Mason, who attempts the switch of play but doesn't have the power to locate Stanley Ball. A little bit of contact from Miles Miller there. Kieran Steer with possession. Just be a little bit cute with his engagement here. Ollie Crawshaw communicating that he's behind him. Which ricochets into the box. Can see what they're trying to do, play it between them in a very compact space, and then for James Mason to locate Stanley Ball on the right hand wing. He might get an opportunity here, but again just doesn't quite have the power. There is a channel there, there is space, but it needs accuracy, needs power. Goes all the way through, so Mason has to adjust. Approaching the final minute. I have to say it's been a brilliant defensive performance from Sevenoaks. I really hope my common cursor, the commentator, doesn't come to light here, because they are deserving of a point without question. Not enough for 3. They haven't troubled Lee Armstrong. Lee Armstrong hasn't done anything in this half, or game as a whole really, beyond 1 interception in the first 20. But Newcastle just haven't been able to unpick the very stubborn lock. And if I was pushed for a player of the match, I'm looking at James Mason, I'm looking at Kyle Alexander. Because you have to apply the context. This is a good opportunity, cleared by Kyle Alexander, the secondary effort out from James Mason. They're just going to try and wind this clock down. But yeah, based on the expectations of outcome, Newcastle would have wanted 3 points from this, would have expected 3 points. And that's why a lot of my praise is going on Sevenoaks, because This would put them off the mark in terms of point accumulation. Into the box, cleared on the line. The secondary effort from Ollie Quasher didn't go over, I don't think. Strong appeals. I'm right below it, just going to watch it back. I don't think it did. I don't think it did. The whole ball has to leave the court, and that is going to be a very controversial one that is going to be analysed time and time again. You can leave it for people watching it, whether they can decide whether there was daylight between that black line designating the end of the court. As we now tick over into additional time, I can understand the appeals, I can understand the frustration. And so late in this game, Ollie Crawshaw, who has been fantastic, it must be said, has been the bright spark, has been the composer, looks as if he's secured 3 points for Newcastle. And you have to feel for Sevenoaks. They have been so good this game. Very late on now. Newcastle will likely come away with a 3 point. On the balance of assessing the game, they have been more attacking, they have been knocking on the door. No real clear-cut opportunities beyond one early in the second. You would say they're deserving of 3 points. But Sevenoaks, I hope despite that frustration, they can extract the positives, because there is plenty of them. And that is the full-time whistle. They find a way to get it done, but arguably very controversial way and manner in which secured Newcastle the win. I don't think the ball had fully crossed the line, but overall a fantastic game of football here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, and thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Next up on Court B, we have Teesside versus Villa Rockets.